The passage we're looking at today comes from the 13th chapter of Luke's Gospel, and it concerns a fig tree. Figs and fig trees are mentioned over 50 times in the Bible. We start with the leaves that Adam and Eve used to clothe themselves in Genesis. Actually, the fig tree is the first tree mentioned in the Bible after the tree of knowledge and the tree of good and evil and the tree of life. But Adam and Eve used fig leaves to clothe themselves, and we go all the way through until we get to Revelation 6:13, where there's an image of the stars falling like figs from the tree in a storm. There's even a talking fig tree in a parable in Judges 9. The fig tree grows to about 20 feet. It's broad. It has large leaves. One of the images of prosperity in the Bible is of a man sitting in the shade under his own fig tree. We find that, for instance, in 1 Kings 4. When Joshua and the spies came back to report on the land of Canaan, they brought grapes, olives, and figs to show the people how prosperous it would be. In the first chapter of John, when Jesus meets Nathanael, he tells him that he saw him under the fig tree. The tree is slow growing. It takes several years before it begins to produce fruit. It produces an early crop in the spring and a later crop in the fall, which is usually of lower quality and is dried or fed to animals. Fig trees were often planted in vineyards, as we see in this passage. Because the tree was so important to the food supply and the economy of ancient Israel, it's used as a symbol more often than it is used literally. Jeremiah used an image of two baskets of figs, one good, one bad. The good figs were the people of Israel who obeyed God and went into exile, and the bad figs were those who resisted. The threat of cutting down a fig tree was a serious one, but if the tree wasn't producing fruit, it couldn't be allowed to take up space, because they do take up a pretty fair amount of space. Many take this passage as an allegory, a story in which each element stands for something else. The unproductive fig tree is Israel. The landowner is God. The vine dresser is Jesus. The number 3 coincides with the length of Jesus' ministry. Now, it's certainly possible, but not necessary, to take the story that way. Some people see it as simply a parable without any kind of allegorical meanings to it. The main point of the story is clear. God expects us to produce the fruit of our faith and will not wait indefinitely for that to happen. Let's read this passage now as it appears in your bulletin. Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree growing in his vineyard, and he went out to look for fruit on it, but did not find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, "For 3 years now I have been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil?" "Sir," the man replied, "leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilize it. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down." This is the word of the Lord.